Hello, everybody, and welcome back after a game one going heavily in the favor of FlyQuest Academy. And I know that we were chatting. We didn't do prediction at the top of the day. You two said 2-0 for FlyQuest. Well, I will say confidently I was on the same page. So if we could run our predictions now, we all are favoring the Academy team coming into this one. 2 O's across the board is what we all sent to the producers at the top of the show.
That's a live evil move if I ever seen one right there.
Yeah, but hey, I will say for EGP's defense, they were hanging in there for the first half of that game. They had a couple of plays going their way. A unique look on the draft. It's been a while since we've seen things like the Gangplank really rise in popularity here in the Proving Grounds. I was expecting some more of that based on the players that we have here, Cubby. So I think it's cool that we see Evil Genius's Prodigy still playing to how they want to play the game, but FlyQuest, they just feel like they have that extra little bit of polish that EGP are missing.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we saw some decent moments from EGP that game. I feel like them attacking topside that one point where they're playing out 3 lanes, they were able to trade out that top outer. Like that's a good moment from the amateur team. Or like forcing Spyrax's flash, attacking him immediately after. That's a good moment from our amateur team. But you know, for EGP, and keep in mind, this is a team where they didn't even make the quarterfinals of the second Proving Grounds OQ. And they still were able to sneak into that top 6, didn't have to play in play-ins. And the fact that, you know, they took down no team on their way to get here, that was the team that won the second OQ. So I think that EGP has shown much better play in this tournament, but it's a really tough task going up against FlyQuest. I think very highly of this team. I think that they are a team to look out for in the lower bracket. And it's one where when it comes to EGP, I think they had some ideas of how to beat them in that game, but just were never able to get the game to play fast enough where those windows actually opened up. And credit to FlyQuest for shutting a lot of those down.
And going back to the conversation that we had heard from Faisal in the interview ahead of time, Jolly, he was saying that they felt similarly about their series against Golden Guardians Academy. The Golden Guardians weren't miles ahead of them. It just came down to a couple of mistakes in that series. And I think that we saw a little bit of that in this last game as well.
Yeah, you can definitely say that. I mean, I will say with this one, maybe it feels a little bit more like FlyQuest is kind of on the right track to saying they know how to respond to a team like EGP before things happen, right? And that's kind of where I was acknowledging the proactive and the reactive play. And that is something that FlyQuest has been executing so dang well. It has to do a lot with what Cubby just touched on, the speed of the game. And if FlyQuest is dictating the speed of the game, and if they have the speed within the composition or within their win conditions on top of it, it is so hard to counteract that play style. And we can see how difficult it was for EGP. Of course, hey, this is a series, it's a best of 3, so maybe we can see the adaptability come through in the opposition in EGP to push us to a game number 3.
Could be what we're facing in our future here on the broadcast, but it's also looking like a fast day. I mean, we've had 3 games under 30 minutes apiece. We might be on track for the fastest day of broadcast so far, unless EGP can bring it around. But with that said, I want to bring our attention to a more fun segment here while we're waiting for the players and the teams to get ready for pick and ban of game number 2. A segment that I like to call "Whose Stats Are They Anyway?" Guess that player, whatever you want to call it. The whole idea of this one is that I have a couple of player graphics without the player photos on them and a couple of stats of those players. I'm curious, based on this last game that just happened, if the two of you will be able to guess who these stats belong to, and then we can talk about the players that they do belong to and why the stats are reflected the way that they are. Now, keep in mind, the stats you're about to see are only from Proving Ground so far. Nothing with OQs or from Academy, and we'll be looking at a player from both teams. So if Production's able to pull up the first one right now, I'm curious if you're going to be able to get this one. I think that the second one might be a little easier, but this one might stump you. So
I don't know if I prepped for this. That's all I'm saying.
The production did gank me a little bit. They hinted me at the top of the show because they said the name of one of the players, but I don't think either of you were paying attention at the time. So hopefully,
you guys gonna call us out like that?
Hey, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it that you know, the bit might be hurt in that regard.
Okay.
But as we pull up the first graphic here for who's that PG player, I believe production can get that up for us in quite a second right now. Again, talk me through your thought process. That is what the whole idea of this one is. I want to hear what you're thinking as you're looking at the stats so I can get to know you as casters a little bit as well. So when we look at who's that PG player, look at the stats, look at the fun fact that we have. Who do these belong to? Silence.
Hold on.
I'm immediately
Hold on.
okay. I'm immediately thinking like I have
Is that-
an indicator right
what-
off the bat. I already feel like I might know who this is. I'm not.
What is the
what's
stat?
the indicator?
Hang on. The stat
Sure.
on the right, you said this is only for proving grounds. We haven't. No one's
Okay,
played 10 plus
the
games.
stres are only for proving grounds. The fun
okay.
facts, are universal throughout their career.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a young player, which that leads me to guess EGP.
UG.
Okay, you're thinking. Okay, we have two.
Oh,
different
it
guesses
could
for
be-
two different
okay.
teams.
I'm thinking UG. This one, honestly, that KDA, the KP, I think UG has been absolutely popping off. He's got a pretty limited champion selection, at least that he's been running through with. I mean, he has a
does.
team champion pool, but
He does have a limited
gotta go
champ
with EG.
selection. He does. He only has 10 games on 2 different champs though, so it can't be 4.
Okay.
It's got to be someone that played.
That's not just proving. That's not just a PG stat, right? Oh, the one on the right.
Yeah, that's true. But this is like his first split playing competitively.
And he's that good.
So he is pretty good. He is pretty good.
Look at the stats. Try and narrow down to
Okay,
position. If you can narrow down to a position based on the stats,
low
I can
depth,
help you out a lot.
high KDA, damage percentage is high enough where I'm gonna guess it's an AD. So I'm just gonna go with Sketch. I feel like Sketch has played 2 splits competitively. That would get you like 10 plus games on 4 different champs. I'm just gonna guess Sketch.
You're guessing Sketch. Jolly. Who's your final guess?
I said UG. I'm sticking with it.
You're sticking with UG. All right, you're looking at the damage percentage and the gold percentage. Rare for a jungler to have that high of damage. Let's take a look who the player was.
Come on.
Covey's correct. This is Sketch from EG Prodigies. Now, the 4 champions that he's played more than 10 games are Kai'Sa, Jinx, Tristana, Aphelios. Those are some meta champs right now.
It was like the meta last split, and then the meta this split.
Exactly, yeah. Fun fact, though, only a 38% win rate on Kai'Sa, who is the most played champion. So that one's not looking as hot.
Well,
but
hey,
the rest,
he
very strong
did win some
performances.
Kai'Sa games in the last series. You know, it got him
True.
here against no team. He won
True.
one.
So again, the big stats there that I'm looking at is damage percentage as an AD carry doing over a quarter of the team's damage. That's what you want from your AD carry, especially with a team like EGP. Based on that last game, I think that going into a game number 2, if they play a little more into Sketch and try and enable this player a little bit more, that's the way that I see EGP actually getting into this series. But Cubby, I'm curious your thoughts on Sketch as a player and the viability of that.
I think the MF Not is like something that you can run. I just think that if you have not Diana, I would have taken away TK from Diamond. There are a lot of things that, you know, you can play into that. I feel like TK, though, is like one that he just really neutralizes everything that you want to do. So I am a Tom Kench stan. I'm a Nautilus hater. I think it's good in the Zeri, but when you have Tom Kench, Zeri, and the Naut, I think it's tough.
All right, well, let's take a look at the other stat now. So this one will be a player from FlyQuest, so I'll give you that one already, so you can use that to your advantage, because we have one from each
50%
team.
of the field narrowed.
I know, but that's just how the game works. So for who's that PG player, take a look at the stats, walk me through your mental thought process.
Ooh, 75% win rate is 7.0 KD on their signature champion.
Oh,
okay.
wait. All right, well, this isn't fair.
Cubby's already got it. I knew this. When I was trying to come up with like fun facts for them, I knew that it wouldn't be fair for Cubby. Jolly, I want to hear your thought process, though. When you're looking at these stats, what kind of position do you think these stats belong to?
I mean, I immediately think like mid lane or AD. And the reason, you know, I include AD in this one is because Tomo is just that good. But Spyrax has been playing out of his mind recently. So I want to tilt that direction, especially with a 64.4 kill percentage.
Sure. What about
The
damage percentage?
damage
Yeah,
can't be a carry.
damage.
Can't be a
is
carry.
low, though. You're right.
80 carry only doing
I
60%
feel like
damage.
that narrows it down
Hello.
into one roll.
One roll. I think
Yuji,
that's 2.
that I'm standing this gut instinct,
All
right?
right,
all right.
Yuji,
That should be your guess,
This is
John.
exactly what happened. This is exactly what happened last time. Is my first guess turned out to be the right answer on the second one, so I'm gonna go with Yuji again. And you know what's
I like
funny?
this.
You know what's funny is I
Okay,
said Yuji
what's
before
funny?
these stats even popped up, just you know, to play off of that.
You know what?
Hey.
Fair enough. You did, and it was in fact Yuji. I don't even think we heard Cubby's, but Cubby, I'm assuming that you were going to go with Yuji also.
I had the Kiana written down as, so once I saw 75% and 7 KDA, I was like, yep, that's a Kiana player.
Exactly.
yeah.
And I would say that was Yuji's signature champion. Not
This
his most
what it
played.
was, yeah.
Not his most played, but this split, it was the one that we got the most excited from
I still
Yuji.
think he was the only player to play Kiana. I don't think anyone else played it.
I
in
think
jungle.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a very popular pick in the meta right now, but
He was
Yuji
good
is
at
just
it.
that kind of player. And that's the thing. The damage percentage is only 16.1%, actually on the lower end for a lot of the junglers on the academy scene. But a big part of that is the champ pool of Yuji. He plays these aggressive burst style champions that will just go in and either 100 to 0 somebody or maybe clean up the fight afterwards. And that's enabling players like Tomo to step up and actually have insane damage numbers when you look at FlyQuest Academy and how they play. So it's interesting to just see the effect of Yuji's playstyle on the team. So with that in mind, congratulations, Cubby. You're 2 for 2 on both of them. Jolly, you got 1 out of the 2 down. But you go for
She
it.
can only get 1. She gets the same person.
I could. Great. Yes, I did guess the same person. You threw me off. I'm not going to lie, because I did hear production say the other name, but you reversed it on me, okay? You said it was the second one. It was the first.
It worked. That was the only way I figured I could do it, was putting sketch
It worked.
first
It
rather
worked.
than
Giga Brain
second.
Kangas.
All right, I tricked my casters, but now we're ready to get into the next game because I'm hearing that the players are ready for pick and ban. So again, enough chit chat. Let's see what they're bringing with elimination on the line for EGP. They got to win 2 in a row here. FlyQuest Academy, 1 more game will get them into the next round of Proving Grounds. Jolly, Gabi, take it away.
Thank you, Kangas. We will talk to you. We'll see how soon it is. If it's the trend that has been set up for the rest of the day continues on, we're going to get another
don't
quick,
leave your seat.
clean game. Don't get up for too long here, Kangas, is what we're talking about. However, we do have the selection locked in here. FlyQuest is once again going to be on the blue side of the map. EGP has selected to stay on red side for some counterability in their picks.
And I like red side on this patch, especially if you're an amateur team. I feel like having that counter and that flex. You know, our issues with EGP in the last game, it wasn't the game plan. I think they had a decent game plan. I just think FlyQuest took a few things to neutralize it and did so successfully. So if EGP goes for a similar draft, I would be surprised, but we already see some early adaptations coming out of EGP's draft as they're going to take away that Viego from Yuji. So maybe that reset comp from the Viego Ari, something that EGP doesn't want to deal with in this game. Already going to target that down, and we'll see if they decide to hit the Zeri too, because I think that first pick Zeri was really big for the side of FlyQuest and Telmo.
And it definitely was. We'll see what the final ban out is. And we talked about this before in the previous matchup. It's always good to have some respect bans come through, but it's actually going to counter out or round out here with a Hecarim. That means the FlyQuest Academy gets to kind of mess around with this one. They're going to stick with what they know works. If it ain't broke, no need to fix it. The Zeri locked in for Tomo.
I'm wondering if Perry's setting up for a Kane game. We have seen Perry play Kane early in the tournament. It is a specialty of his. 2 junglers have been taken off the board. Maybe that's not going to be the case. All right, if they want to take the Tryndamere and flex it still, I think that's fine for EGP. I think you can play Tryndamere in the Zeri, and I think it does give EGP some power throughout the draft. So it looks like it's just going to be the same strategy. Just wanted to take away the Viego. Thought that was a kind of game breaking for them to deal with. And yeah, so far, so good. I'm wouldn't be surprised they just took Nautilus on 3 as well. But looks like EGP is going to play around a little bit. Mostly if they just go for this strat, I just want to see them try and play it a little bit stronger this time around.
Exactly. It wasn't a bad concept that they had locked in. It was just that FlyQuest shut it down pretty immediately, and then there was no real wiggle room to move forward with. So that is how they're going to move forward. A very quick selection right there. The Nocturne, who we have been seeing pop up a lot more as of late, is going to be locked in for Yuji. Definitely follows his play style and that super hyper aggressive all over the map kind of gameplay that he likes to run with. And Spyrax sticking with that Ari.
Now, the pivot here would be if they took their other solo laner instead of taking that Nautilus. And this is something that EGP could try and do with the Camille. We did see a Camille ban thrown out in going into the second phase of draft, and this will be the game plan. So this is now Tryndamere mid into that Ari. We have the double 80 solo laners plus Diana, so Perry on that solo AP. EGP going to be sticking to their guns, but Jolly, I like the fact you highlighted the Nocturne. Yuji did play this in their loss against Team Liquid Academy in their second game. I think that Nocturne's a pick that I'm glad it's sneaking back in the meta. And what this makes it very difficult for the side of EGP is executing these flanks. Because at any point, you just press R, turn off the lights, and then all of a sudden, you're the one with a Tryndamere or Camille, doesn't exactly know how to find those flanks, find those angles. All of a sudden, it's FlyQuest. You know, they have the Ahri, they have the Nocturne. Their ability to find flanks is very powerful as well. So that's something that EGP is going to have to look out for as we move throughout this draft, we want to return to some of the bans we're seeing. That Camille is blind, so we have EGP going to ban out some top laners that they don't want to deal with in the top side, whereas FlyQuest going to take away the Xayah, and I would not be surprised to take away the Nautilus as well.
Yeah, definitely a good move. FlyQuest doesn't really want to be locked down. Having that dredge line of the depth charge certainly gives the ability for them to do that. And you know, there's almost nothing more rude than when you're playing something like the Tryndamere or the Undying Rage. You've got, you know, the Hextech ultimatum out of Camille, and the lights go off, and you're like, awesome. I have like 2 seconds of just wasted ultimate right here. You can tell FlyQuest is looking to close this one out pretty quickly. Again, the Gragas actually respect band away from Philip. Honestly, I would do it too.
Yeah.
He played so well on that Gragas. It was kind of unbelievable, his ability to just 1v1 anyone on the map.
I respect it. Philip's other tank pick is actually Sion, which you can play as Camille. It's not a bad, it's a pretty good matchup for the Camille, so maybe they're trying to get Philip to take the Sion as well. As that really has been the identity of him on tanks. I did tease the Nautilus beforehand. It's going to be the lock-in, so they're going to actually save the last pick for their marksman. Somewhat curious for Sketch that they actually took the Naut now. Maybe they just don't want to give it away to Diamond, as it does pair all right with Zeri. And I would not be surprised if we see Diamond again take that Tom Kench. And then for Philip, of course, his other tank would, of course, be the Sion, which we're expecting to see.
There it is. They are going to lock that one in for Philip. Definitely a more favorable matchup, but this is not something where, you know, even if you have potentially a winning matchup in terms of the composition, right, for Philip, you can't expect him to just fall that easily. He knows how to play these few champions incredibly well, no matter how far behind they might seem. Now, FlyQuest, they are going to lock in that Leona as a finality here for their comp.
Yeah.
Lot more crowd control, lot more ability for these top 3 picks, heavy damage dealers to find the flank you were talking about, Cubby.
I like the Leo, especially just given that you have so many melees diving onto you, and it gives you another engage option. And now I want to see this Vayne locked in. I think that for Sketch, this is actually a pretty good setup for Vayne. It's very playable, this game. It's going to be the lock-in. This gives EGP a ton of damage to get through this humongous front line that FlyQuest has. And if you protect the Vayne, if you aren't able to get a sound engage off on the Sketch does have the opportunity to take over this game as we move forward. So I like this pick. I feel like the 5th pick 80 carry actually being used to pretty good use. It's a good game for Vayne. I love the fact that Sketch has the goal to pull this out in a do-or-die game.
Once again, though, it is later game, right, that we're looking at for EGP. FlyQuest, whereas with their composition, they've got a bit of the early game, they've got a bit of the late game scaling as well under their belts, and that early game really is just kind of supplying and facilitating a quick move over to the mid game, the late game, for some of these flanking opportunities to come through. So if the early game is a struggle right now for EGP, it's not going to get easier as the game goes on.
So I actually really like Vayne when it comes to like mid game. I feel like once she hits Rageblade, that's where Vayne is just this incredibly strong. You have 5 points in Silver Bolt. You're able to rip through anyone that's in front of you. I think that's the spike that EGP are going to be looking to hit. Whereas if things go like really late, I don't know if Vayne's like able to get through a Scion that's going to have like Frozen Heart,
right,
plus like Thornmail or like Randuin's, like whatever you want to take. So it's going to take a little bit more time. So I think for EGP, it still is kind of similar. Like hit that mid-game spike, hit that 1-2 item mark, and really try and take down FlyQuest. Whereas for FlyQuest, it's been a pretty standard front-to-back team fight comp that we've been seeing out of them for most of Proving Grounds. I just want to see if they can continue to stick to their guns. It feels like a team that really has this identity they're comfortable with running. They feel like they can win games playing this out. And EGP has something they've thrown into it that I feel like can do them a solid, but we're just going to have to see if they can execute now.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You know, I guess the mid game I kind of didn't include, right, in that little setup, because my anticipation is that even with a nice, you know, the Nautilus and the Misfortune, where you have some early pressure that you can supply here onto the Zeri in the opposition, it didn't end up working out. FlyQuest and Tomo had pressure in the bottom lane the entire way through, and that's where things get really scary. So yes, if EGP is able to stall out this early game and prevent FlyQuest Academy from picking up a bunch of kills and getting that snowball moving downhill, they absolutely have the potential for comeback. And I was kind of anticipating in the previous game, but we saw exactly that happen with FlyQuest, where they just got too many kills, they just got too much pressure on the map.
Yeah, that's been a big thing for FlyQuest, their identity. Of course, they're looking to neutralize your opponent, go late. They feel very comfortable at those stages of the game, and we've seen them find a lot of success doing that. So it feels like, you know, with the Scion, with the Zeri, a similar feel. Humongous front line, and make sure that Zeri just keeps on fighting. Now, for EGP, they have ways to deal with the Zeri. You have this Nautilus depth charge. You have this Hextech ultimatum from Faisal. I think that EGP, they have as many tools they had last game to try and make plays, and FlyQuest has a few less neutralizers. So I think it's a window where EGP, I think they have a couple better opportunities to try and punish in that mid game, and want to see if they can speed up the pace of the game and hit the marks that they're trying to hit this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of the problem that they had, is they were sort of trying to stall out the early game, but trying to at least get a little bit of responding pressure is a requirement going up against a FlyQuest composition like they had in that last one. Leo, already going to try to facilitate that a little bit by putting some damage down onto Spirax in this 1v1 at the level 1, and we can see it is mirrored clears as well in the jungle top side start for both.
Now, this is a little bit of an adaptation from last game as well. Of course, last game we had both junglers starting on their respective blue buff. This time, both junglers starting on the top side of the map, so working their way towards bot. It tells me that, you know, FlyQuest with this Leona going to be looking to put a little bit more pressure on this lane and try and set that Vayne behind early so she doesn't get to that 2-item spike for free, where we've seen Vayne's just shred so many team comps throughout the many years that Vayne's been around in League of Legends.
Oh yeah, Vayne is nasty. When I used to main ADC beforehand, she was, if Vayne's ever in the meta, she is my instant ban. I don't want to deal with her. She just kind of comes out of nowhere. That hasn't really been the case as of late, I will admit, but if anyone can pull this off, it's going to be a duo like Sketch and Daption. It's
gotta be Sketch, yeah.
And, you know, the responding plays right now, at least coming out of Sketch, are a lot more efficient than even in the first couple of minutes that we saw in the bottom lane in game number 1.
Well, at least Sketch is able to get out of here, but we have to look at the jungle matchup because Yuji, he's found Perry. Perry's in trouble.
Lots of damage. Yuji just going to smack him around. Perry should be able to get out of this one alive. He actually has to flash away from it, though. Good play by Yuji. Good aggression by FlyQuest.
This is so calculated from FlyQuest. I just love, you know, their plan of attack. We did tease that the jungle pathing was different this game. EGP making the swap, but FlyQuest, they have priority in this bottom lane. Vayne is not good at pushing out waves, and so they utilize that to make sure that Yuji gets the lead. They get the flash out of Perry. They take the blue buff away from Perry as well. Now Yuji is set up to maybe even potentially get a double crab. So this is, again, something I really praise FlyQuest for. They are a team that likes to go late, but a lot of the ways they get themselves to the later stage of the game where they are comfortable are so sound and really well thought out. This is a really good example of that here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what we've seen really consistently in the last week or two from FlyQuest Academy. They say, you know what? If we find opportunities, there's no reason to hold back, and there's no reason to wait for those opportunities to arise. It has to do, once again, with that proactive play that they continuously force out. We can see it coming through. You know what? At least clearing out some of the jungle. Setting Perry behind is huge. As we know, Diana, not as easily going to be able to jump into a lot of these lanes as she would like. And then looking at the vision, too, it's incredible right there. It looks like Sketch is going to have to flash away from this one. Daption trying to throw down that passive there onto Diamond, but it's Tomo who deals most of the damage.
Yeah, wasn't able to buffer the Zenith Blade with the Dredge line. Went wide. Diamond nets the flash from Sketch. And again, second game in a row, FlyQuest bottom lane. Diamond teased it, talking to him earlier. There was not a bottom lane that these two feared. And I think it's really showing in their play. Second game in a row, they were finding individual advantages down there.
And a flash is huge. The first couple of minutes of the game, first 5 minutes of the game, in just a solo play without having Yuji need to actually show his face down there, he can continue to force Perry out of his own jungle. That and really just bully all of EGP around. The faster you can get some clears here as this Nocturne, go back, maybe get an item, and then begin to infiltrate these other lanes, you're looking really good if you're a FlyQuest fan.
And again, love that pathing from Yuji. Takes away the Raptor respawn from Diana. That's a lot of important experience that he's denying. Even keeps the small Raptor alive to prevent that camp from respawning. I think it's a really, really good textbook play coming out of Yuji. And Perry just being set further and further behind. It's going to make hitting that level 6 spike on Diana a little bit harder.
And this is the stuff I was talking about with Diamond, too. Really early roams. You get a little bit of pressure here for Tomo and you're good. The ward did just die. Zenith Blade has not been used. That shield is going to be thrown down in no way. The Q hit actually pops, which stops out that hook shot from coming through. It's first blood. She tries to give it to Philip, but Diamond ends up taking that one.
Beautiful roam timer found from the shot caller, the leader of FlyQuest Academy, as Diamond hits top lane at the right time. Philip had that wave frozen in front of his turret forever. EGP, they're looking to counter by going bot, but Yuji's here to hover.
Yuji's here. Tomo is able to just push
wave.
out as much damage as possible here. He's got the mobility. And that's another thing that FlyQuest once again has going for themselves, the capacity to kind of fancy foot around things. Not only that, but escape from some of these attempted initiations and engages by EGP.
And this is just such a good timer from Diamond as we see it again. Love how he has that Q prep, knows that once he sees the hook shot, able to find the cancel. It's easy peasy, just the right place, the right time for the support, the leader of this team. Go back to line. That scene at the play is going to fall a little bit short, but still, you can see really the impact that Diamond's already had on the map. Able to get his top laner ahead in the losing matchup. And able to find a solo flash in the bot lane. And now Diamond looking for more.
Hex Flash is huge.
Oh, boy.
Diamond ends up actually picking up the second kill of the game so far. Diamond stacking kills on this one. He's going to hand the next kill over to Spyrax. But once again, FlyQuest dictating the speed of this game. Spyrax continuing on with the play. A beautiful charm on top of it. Great aggro swap on the tower. FlyQuest finding the fourth kill. Still nothing for EGP. And there's the ultimate as well coming out of Philip. Faisal still has that Hextech ultimatum available, but is not going to need to use it.
And it's just FlyQuest. I mean, Diamond, the play, participating in every single kill. We're going to see it again. I just love how he knows that he has this team here, and Spyrax and Tomo, they can both follow. You can go over the wall so easily as these two champions, so Diamond stepping up. Him going over that wall completely split up EGP, turned a 4v4 into a 4v2, and EGP just didn't have the answer in time because of that FlyQuest, they just wipe.
That charm from Spyrax too. I love the slowdown on that. Thank you, production. Just to see the angle. She ended up actually walking into the charm while trying to avoid some additional damage. And that's something that you can definitely supply when you have all of these long-range abilities like we are seeing from the side of FlyQuest. Yuji barely having to pop his face in here. He is level 6, so Paranoia can come out whenever he decides to put some pressure there. EGP, of course, focusing down towards the bottom side of the map here, and it's not working out for them, unfortunately.
And, you know, we'll see what happens. I think FlyQuest, once again, being so far ahead in a comp that I really like the scaling of, I want to see them attack this Rift Herald. Make sure that you get this. Take that away from EGP. Don't allow them to break open this map and play 3 lanes like they want to do with this Camille and Tryndamere. And it looks like, at the moment, FlyQuest a little bit more concerned about making sure this Vayne continues to be set further and further behind. Once again, another big item on the checklist for them in winning this game. Vayne can be that tank shredder. Very tanky squad when you have Sion, Leona, and Nocturne. Sketch falling further and further behind thanks to the good play from this bot lane and game plan from FlyQuest. Going to make things even harder. And you can see FlyQuest now. There's push in the mid lane for Spyrax. And Yuji is walking down bot. They're looking for the dive. Perry's here to hover. But FlyQuest, they want this play.
Perry is revealed here. They know that Leo is behind them in the wings, of course. Out comes the Paranoia. It's actually a turn backwards onto Leo. That's going to force him away from this. And he actually burns his ghost to ensure that he escapes from the charm, followed up by Spyrax.
I think that's fine, though, for the side of EGP. Yeah. Honestly, it was a really good hover from Perry. And, I mean, if Sketch gets dove there, the game gets dire. Like, Sketch is already far enough behind on this Vayne, but if he's taken off the map again, he's not picking up those levels, he's not getting any farm. At least he's able to stick around, make sure he can clean up the wave. All it's going to fall for the side of FlyQuest is this Cloud Dragon. Not bad. When Cloud spawns first, you are guaranteed a good soul, but I think EGP will be happy with the fact that their bot laner at least didn't go down.
Yeah, you don't want to feed more kills over to FlyQuest. And hey, you know what? Another good thing that you can look at is say, who's got the bounty on their head on the side of FlyQuest Academy? Who's got 2 of the 4 kills? That is Diamond, sitting at 2-0 and 2, 100% kill participation, of course, as we've seen him show up in fights in the top side and in the bottom side. And now, literally, as I talk about it, he's looking for a play here onto Leo. Doesn't have the ability to get in range to throw down the Solar Flare, though.
Now, curiously enough, I think Diamond's here to try and get Priotis and contest his Rift Herald. And you can see Perry actually just peeled off. Had Shelly started, had Shelly at about half, not able to finish it. Has Philip just gonna ult through, assert dominance, I guess?
Yeah, he wants
Trying to match Shelly's walk back to the pit?
Exactly. He wants to scare Shelly. That's what it's all about, right? You can assert dominance over the enemy players, or you can assert dominance over these camps. And it will be FlyQuest that starts out with this first Rift Herald. As we can see, good moves for them, continuing to put pressure along the map. And 11 minutes in, there's still about a 2,000 gold lead. So that 2-item spike that we were kind of anticipating to come from EGP is actually going to get hit by FlyQuest first.
Oh, hold on.
No way, Tomo dodging out on that one. The depth charge to follow this up. Diamond is in the wings. The solar flare on the backside. The Zenith blade should be able to hit. He's not going to actually throw it out. Tomo trying to continue this fight. The flash is down though. So is the heal. Daption, you're not in a great position, and Tomo's going to be able to find it with the Q. Oh, Spyrax looking for another one. There are 2 members here in the bush. Vision has been placed. There it is, the paranoia to hit. Spyrax flashing forward to try to continue up with that play. Has used the Spirit Rush, though, so no more kills for FlyQuest Academy.
But still, it's them turning the proactive play from EGP around in the bot side, Jolly. And that's EGP, I feel like, overextending. Not respecting the TPs, not respecting that Diamond was a little bit behind his AD, given the fact that they had just picked up the Rift Herald. He was on reset, and now EGP gonna feel that blunder as, oh, Diamond a little bit deep.
Pretty deep on this one.
Yeah,
Perry is in the wings. The Moonfall comes out. Diamond with a fancy flash for the other side, though. Ooh, it almost looked like he was going to escape, but he does not. Yuji, of course, is on the backside of this fight. Tomo able to stay alive.
A little bit of a mistake there from this leader of FlyQuest is he's going to give EGP a little bit of gold onto the Diana. Still, tough situation for EGP. Down 1K, but we really like the scaling that the side of FlyQuest has available to them. And I think that for the side of EGP, given that they didn't get the Rift Herald too, Jolly, what you want to do as EGP is you want to break a turret and then get into 3 lanes. Like, put the Vayne mid, put Tryndamere and Camille on sides, and then just enjoy the fact that you should win both side lane matchups no matter what. Because EGP have not gotten a turret, because they haven't gotten a Rift, it's been really tough for them to break open this map and execute their game plan. And this is something that FlyQuest just does so well, even with the scaling compositions. Their ability to neutralize what enemies want to do early, get to the comfort point of the game where they're scaling later. Something that this team is really good at, and it's the second game in a row where Jolly, we're seeing the first brick fall bot. Plates going over to Tomo. He's ahead.
Still 30 seconds left on those plates. Philip gonna find a recall here. You're exactly right, though, Cubby. I mean, this is what we were talking about. Not only that FlyQuest does well, but what EGP needs to try to find some success in. And FlyQuest just kind of dictating the speed of the game. Like I've been saying, Diamond has been absolutely all over the place on this one. And it ensures that while EGP try to go in on what appear to be successful fights, they just have somebody in the wings, somebody to make up for any sort of, overwhelming presence that EGP is able to put out.
And a lot of that, too, I mean, something that EGP will have to be worried about if they do try and split up into this 1-3-1, it will be the Nocturne. Nocturne, someone that, you can attack the side lane with rather quickly. Speaking of attacks...
Hextech Ultimatum coming out onto Philip here. Both of them kind of recognizing, we'll just walk away from this. We can keep smacking each other.
See you next time.
Yeah, exactly. See you next time. Ultimate out, ultimate out. Teleport was down for Faisal, though.
Faisal will be able to stick around, though, as Perry is in his back pocket. And fortunately for FlyQuest, they were able to break open the map and split up into 3 lanes. So this is a state of the game where I feel like EGP feel okay in having both Camille and Tryndamere in side lane matchups that, Tryndamere gets somewhat neutralized by the Ahri, but is going to be able to pick up the farm and can try and win. And given the tanky lineup that FlyQuest has, even going to be a Kraken Slayer for Leo. So that's a little bit different.
Philip just says, I really don't care that there are 2 of you here. Let me just clear out the minions. That means somebody's going to have to take some tower damage here. Faisal taking way too much. And there it is. Philip's able to find the one. He uses his Ignite Unsealed Spellbook utilized in the middle side. Of course, Daption is going to be the one stuck under a tower. Boy. Philip also finds out Perry prevents the recall from coming through. This is a red buff now up for grabs. 2 levels ahead is Philip right now. And he's going to snag that one away, taking down Perry.
And just like that, seems like the plans for EGP have somewhat fallen apart. As FlyQuest went out on both sides of the map, a mistake from Faisal and Perry. They were trying to take down that top outer turret, wasn't able to make it fall. Philip reaps the rewards. Then you see 2 members top. You get the dive mid. That one works out for FlyQuest. You get the Dragon 2. We're going to take a second look at this one as the plan is to get the turret. We know that. I guess Scion wave clear is a little bit too good.
Yeah, you got to
and
expect
Unsealed
that,
Spellbook,
though.
you know.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Unsealed Spellbook, and he used it immediately. I mean, the Ignite came down. He's able to swap it over for a teleport. And in the meantime, this is just how much pressure FlyQuest has. They can start these fights behind a single tower. And Philip continues on. He says, I saw that Perry didn't go down. He's around here somewhere. And to be able to snag that red buff away is also massive for the Scion.
I just love, the team fighting of FlyQuest, the target selection, their ability to find flanks with this Nocturne Ahri combo. As, speaking of finding the flank, EGP trying to get behind the Scion here. Philip does have ult.
He does have his teleport up and available. He's going to use his ultimate to try to escape from this. The Moonfall to follow it up, though.
Okay.
And that is
Good
a
bounce back.
shutdown. The second kill of the game, though, is all that it gives EGP.
At least it goes over to Leo with the Kraken Slayer, as meanwhile, Faisal getting frisky.
And speaking of Leo, there's a Leona on the front side. It's going to be Faisal who throws out that Hextech ultimatum. Diamond taking a couple of tower shots, but still, it's the pressure from FlyQuest that works in their favor, because in the meantime, Spyrax has found the third tower of the game for FlyQuest Academy.
That's true, but at least EGP are able to trade out bot, because that is going to be an objective bounty going over to their pockets. So it's actually them trading up. So credit to EGP for finding that angle. It's not for free. They lost the Raptor camp. They're going to lose top outer, and also this Rift Herald, which will most certainly not enter turret whenever FlyQuest Academy decides to drop it. But, at least EGP, again, I think showing that, they're taking these drafts because they have an idea of how to play out 3 lanes. It's just that FlyQuest really haven't allowed for them to get to that point.
Gosh, look at the damage that's already coming out of Tomo, though. And those item spikes that we were talking about, it's just impossible to reach those with EGP when all of the side lanes are being pushed in by anyone on the side of FlyQuest. And again, they're controlling the map overall. It means the EGP, they're trying to navigate around. They're trying to pick up some of their own creep, but they're just unable to. Spyrax, again, these solo plays, the solo damage is just too dang much to risk moving into a side lane on your own. We can see now the teleport coming through. Faisal gonna hook shot around this Tomo and Diamond on the backside. The Solar Flare is up and available. Perry is going to get hit. Oh no, he flashes away actually from the ultimate out of Philip, but that means that Spyrax is going to find a kill on the backside. Perry gets away with his life.
And top turret did fall to minions randomly, so I guess that's another shutdown for EGP, but they gotta be careful because they're getting collapsed upon now from the top side. Here comes the... Oh boy.
Paranoia makes it really rough. You've got a split fight now, and the target is going to be Sketch here. Daption gets caught out by Yuji on the backside, who splits this one apart. It's solo kills consistently going over to FlyQuest, and they find another and should be able to take down 1 to 2 towers in the mid.
See if Yuji decides to throw down the... or I guess they already used the Herald. There it is. Yeah, he did throw down the Herald. It is mid. Leo... gonna take this inner on the Rage split, as he is at least getting something back for EGP, but it is still FlyQuest trading up. And this inhibitor's fallen pre-20, Jolly.
Oh, that is rough. Super minions is the last thing that EGP needs to face. The pressure that has already been placed in all of these lanes, and the fact that EGP is consistently just responding to try to push them back out. They do have 3 towers, so they were able to pick up a bit of that responding pressure in some of these previous fights. But when it comes to the top side of this map, it's all in the hands of FlyQuest.
And I think that this game, Jolly, I mean, we've credited both of these teams for improving a lot throughout the in this tournament compared to their performance in the regular season. But I think this really shows, that FlyQuest, yes, they're a team that likes to scale, but they've improved so much early. And now Daption, oh man, another pick coming out. Baron's now on the table. FlyQuest, they want more.
Paranoia coming out right there. It's going to be a nice lockdown as you get the fear on to parry the Solar Flare on the backside. Yuji will likely go down here to Leo. He's going to get a big shutdown. Spyrax is the following target. Tomo gets found out here by Faisal and Sketch. It's a shutdown for Faisal. Extra gold in the pockets of EGP. That's just what they needed. They might be able to find Diamond here. They have to be aware, though, that it's not just Diamond on this side of the map.
And EGP, credit to them. I mean, they were at least able to find an angle where they can push. And they know that this might be the best opportunity they have. They're going to keep on looking as the TP comes in. That's Spyrax.
You might as well. If you are Leo, you're feeling pretty good on this matchup. It's the ultimate actually to escape by Philip. Leo takes a lot of damage. He does have the Undying Rage. He's going to be able to activate it here, taking down Diamond along with him. Faisal still alive. The flash away from Philip. Faisal will get another for himself. Can Spyrax find the cleanup? Can Philip's passive do it? It's going to be Spyrax.
All right, well, EGP, it's a 3.5K gold deficit now. The Dragon will probably go over to FlyQuest, but that was an overextension from FlyQuest. As we take a second look, yes, Daption falls for free, but keep in mind, FlyQuest, they've been making a lot of plays around TPs, having a numbers advantage, and then having Sion in the front line, this big tank that no one can move. And if we look at this fight, this is a 3v3 where it's split, and credit to EGP. Sketch was able to pump out a bunch of damage. I love the dodge forward there to make sure he keeps on laying down the deeps on a Yuji. They take down him. The Hextech Ultimatum takes down Tomo. Tomo got split from the rest of his team, and hey, credit to the side of EGP, right? They're really far behind in this game. It's really tough for them to come back, Shelly, but they did manage to take a winning fight, find a winning angle against FlyQuest. And even though they end up falling at the end, I still credit them for pushing this hard. There were shutdowns on the table. They got quite a few in their pockets.
Absolutely. When you're that far behind, when FlyQuest Academy is dictating the speed of this game, I mean, throughout the entirety, really, it was a great recognition by EGP to say, here is something we can win. The teleport is coming through. Daption is the first target. He will go down here. Tomo has the pickup. Diamond as well with the solar flare. Leo has another second on Undying Rage and will go down to Tomo, who picks up a double kill. Spyrax and Diamond pinching these remaining members through. That should be a triple. No! Faisal will actually take down Tomo. Another big shutdown on the opposite side. Sketch stays alive, finds a triple kill right there for Sketch.
And the 4 for 4 for EGP, I mean, this game getting bloody, they're the ones that are farming shutdowns. They're the ones that are actually getting back into this game. It's only a 3K gold deficit now. As credit to EGP, they're making things sloppy. And, I mean, they're showing some of their individual strength here. This fight, it was a great start to the fight from FlyQuest, but given the fact that Trinamir still had his ultimate back up, he was able to pump through Tomo in the back half, and Faisal had a huge fight in the front half as well. As credit to Faisal and Sketch, they were able to turn this around from a 2v4 into making it a 4 for 4 at the end of the fight.
That fancy footing from Sketch as well. The flash away to avoid the damage that was coming out of Tomo was insane. Faisal finding exactly who he needed to get, picking up the triple kill for himself. Sketch managed to get out with his life on top of it. Of course, he only picked up that one kill, but it was big plays and big abilities to avoid Spyrax's charm in the second half.
And this game got so bloody so fast, I didn't even catch if a Sketch had a Rage Blade for that last fight. Either way, he has it now. As FlyQuest looking to continue to push the pace. Daption.
One more time. It's the ultimate to come out here from Yuji. Paranoia takes down one. FlyQuest is okay with that.
Yeah, poor Daption is getting picked on every single Paranoia, going straight for the Nautilus. And I don't mind it from FlyQuest. I mean, burning those ultimates, it does remove that depth charge, enables your Ahri and Zeri to not get locked down in these team fights. And I love how FlyQuest immediately starting the Baron. Feels like FlyQuest is regrouped a little bit. Really good setup here. It's going to be tough for EGP to get in.
Half health now on this Baron.
Ahri's still in the brush.
The vision is being countered. Ahri is right there. It's Diamond, though, that has to flash over the wall to escape the fight. The Baron goes down. A beautiful moonfall to come through from Perry, who immediately gets melted in response. Leo looking to throw out the Undying Rage. Hasn't had to use it yet. Philip will possibly go down. Faisal finds a fantastic ultimate on the backside. It's going to turn over to Spyrax. Yuji gets taken down, too. Faisal eventually goes down, but in the overall, it's a victorious fight for EGP. One single member is all that has this Baron buff now.
And with FlyQuest playing so aggressively around these objectives, it's not Queen engages onto the Vayne. And Sketch is just getting the play Janitor, getting the play cleanup. And when you are an untouched Vayne, tumbling, pumping out the true damage in these fights, the tanks of FlyQuest aren't standing jolly. And because EGP have just made this game so hectic, have taken so many fights in a row, it's only a 1K gold deficit now for our amateur squad.
That is massive considering how far ahead, even though it maybe wasn't on the numbers board, it definitely felt like FlyQuest had that as we take a look at this play.
And credit to Perry. I know that he goes in and it's just, all right, I'm going to ult pull everyone in. I'm going to die. But he's the reason that this fight actually worked out for EGP. The fact that he sacked himself, hit that big moonfall. Even though it didn't connect, it slowed everyone down, bought enough space, bought enough time for EGP to collapse, and for Sketch to just free hit throughout that fight. That was really the big thing that EGP are looking for, is can Sketch continue to pump out the autos? And now Sketch, he has a Blade of the Ruin King. Something pretty strong against this heavy front line for FlyQuest. And let's keep our eyes out on UG, Spyrax, and Diamond, because they're going to be the ones that have to find the right angle onto this vein and have to make sure that Sketch is not able to just free hit these fights, or else EGP are going to keep on getting back into this one.
Yeah, and UG has to be a lot more careful about those paranoias now. He can't just throw it out the second that he sees Dabtion in an accessible position. Leo has a lot more survivability. Viscel has a lot more survivability going into this. The Ravenous Hydra, as we can see the Sterix being picked up here, and he's got a positive KD on top of it. Considering this game had like 10 kills in favor of FlyQuest compared to 1 or 2 on the side of EGP, the recovery is insane. There comes the paranoia to the backside. Diamond goes far to the rear of this fight. It's a huge near sight there on to Dabtion, who will be taken down. Leo, the next target on dying rage, but the blast cone hits him, and he actually has to flash away from this one. 1 more second, and he will end up going down. Philip proxying 2 members away. He manages to run out with his life, and it's a huge shutdown by Tomo. An ace now in favor of FlyQuest, and the end of the game for EGP.
A valiant effort from EGP. They weren't going down without making this one a bloodbath, without making this one interesting on the day. But in that fight, FlyQuest, they grouped up as 5. They stayed strong. They made sure that Sketch couldn't free hit. And that's why they're going to be taking down the Nexus.
Taking down the Nexus, a 2-0 fashion. That's all we have gotten here today. Unfortunate for our amateur fans. Academy has come out in nothing but sweeps, bringing their brooms out here in a very, very quick day for us, Cubby. Not only was it pretty defiant wins, I love the ability to clap back there by EGP, but all it takes is one misplay when you're that far in. The gray screens are just too long to recover.
And, I mean, honestly, credit to EGP.
Oh, yeah.
Because that game, I think they were down 7K gold at one point. They got it back down to a 1K gold deficit. And that was just by making the game really hectic, relying on some of the hands that this amateur team has. I mean, I think we saw some good moments out of Faisal, out of Leo, out of Sketch, the carries this game. I know Perry had a tough series, but even that engage around the Baron, that's what enabled EGP to win some of those fights. But in the end, it was FlyQuest, I mean, kind of regrouping, getting things back together, and executing that clean team fight that they needed in this game. As I mean, props to them. At least they were able to get FlyQuest a little bit of a run for their money. This was looking like a heck of a one-sided series. I'd say it still was, but at least EGP don't go down without a fight.
Honestly, if it wasn't for those last 3 minutes, if we went back to, 3 minutes prior, I would say at this point it's anyone's game. There's a very likely possibility that we are looking at a game number 3 to come through, because EGP's ability to respond was huge. And they were taking advantage of the fact that multiple times FlyQuest went a little too far forward. They split themselves a little too far apart, and the focus coming out of Evil Genius's Prodigies was on point. Unfortunately for them and the rest of Amateur, they are going to fall, and because that was a lower bracket run, they are out of the tournament from here on. But that means that FlyQuest Academy gets to continue their run through. You were talking about potential dark horses, and this is certainly a team we can keep eyes on moving forward, Cubby.
Yeah, I would not want to face FlyQuest in the next best of 3, best of 5. I'm really looking forward to that matchup against Dig. I feel like it's 2 slightly different styles clashing. Dig could break what FlyQuest want to do early, but I think FlyQuest, they have a really sound identity as a team, and I think that because they've patched up their mid game and they have these really good early game plans to make sure that their scaling comp gets off to a good start, there's no really windows for other teams to throw wrenches into that. I think FlyQuest have a sound strategy of how to get to the points of the game where they are comfortable. And once they get there, they're going to be a tough team to take down. So I think that I'm looking forward to that best 3 against Dig. I favor FlyQuest in that one, but I'm really excited to see that one coming up next week.
For sure. We got some great games, great series set up. That is going to be the last series of the day today, but that's not the end of the show, because we are likely going to have an interview with one of the players on the winning team here in FlyQuest Academy. We get to check back in with Kangas and take a look at how the rest of the bracket is going to play out and how the schedule is lined up for the next week or two. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a very quick break with more Proving Grounds powered by Verizon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our Verizon post-game interview. I have the victorious top laner from FlyQuest Academy, Philip, joining me to chat about that last series. First of all, congratulations, Philip, on the quick
Thank you.
2-0. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your opposition, and also kind of hear about what your prep was like going into Faisal.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually one of the amateur tops that I respect. He's definitely one of like the stronger ones. So I definitely had to not take him too lightly as I would for other amateur tops. But yeah, in terms of preparation, I think I treated him the same way as other tops. I know he really likes to play Camille. So yeah, I think we banned it first game, and I was prepared with the sound for the second game.
Do the two of you have a relationship or history together? It sounds like there might be something there.
Uh, pretty mutual, I'd say.
Okay. All right, mutual respect. I like that. Well, obviously you
Yeah.
got the better of it today, so congratulations again. But you are in the lower bracket here. This is your first time going up now in a lower bracket match. The team that knocked you down into the lower bracket was Team Liquid Academy, one of the higher seeded academy teams coming into the season. I'm curious, kind of what your read is of that 0-2 that you face against them, and also what kind of lessons the team learned from that loss.
Yeah, I mean, going into that series, I think we came off of a pretty rough week of practice, but we played a lot better on stage. But I guess it came down to who had the better hands, and I guess they got the better of us. So yeah, the series is actually pretty fun. There's a lot of fighting, and yeah, sucks that we lost, but it is what it is.
There was a lot of fighting in this series as well. 43 kills at the end of that 27-minute game. Is this just the
Yeah.
FlyQuest style now? Are you just like a team fight, scrappy team?
I mean, looking at the games, or game one at least, we were behind in gold early on, and it feels like in the beginning we were pretty of the split. We were pretty like scrappy, or pretty scrappy team, right? But I feel like as it went on, we we started playing like a more controlled game, more slow. So yeah, I guess that's becoming more our style now.
All right, I do like it. Now, this is, of course, the academy split for yourself after last summer, where you were coming in and subbing in for the team. But before that, you
Yeah.
were, of course, playing in the amateur circuit. So I'm curious, kind of your view of yourself and your journey from your calendar year, as it were, from amateur all the way now up into academy.
I mean, it feels so long ago that I played an amateur, but there were definitely some really fun times, right? I don't know if anyone remembers LVGN, the greatest amateur
Yep.
team of all time. Uh, yeah, I mean,
Who
that
was on that
team, if
roster
you were to
again? It was you,
it
Bradley.
was me, Bradley, Meech, Trevor, and Hunter.
Wow.
I mean, if you were to tell me 2 years ago that I would be playing against Bradley in the top lane, I don't think anyone would believe you, all right? And it's pretty cool to see that all of us are playing in this PG right now, because I feel like in that split we were pretty underrated, right, as individual players. But it's pretty cool that we got to show our potential from that split, even though we didn't do well.
Improvement. Everybody's getting the opportunities that they deserve. I'm happy that you all have grown so much in your journeys on your
Yeah, I
path to
mean,
pro.
yeah, I mean, you saw Mish and Trevor; they took out TSM the other day, so that's
Yeah,
good on them.
fantastic stuff.
And
Uh,
yeah,
I did want to bring attention to the fact that last summer in Proving Grounds, you were actually in this stage of the tournament. This is where FlyQuest Academy bowed out from Proving Grounds. So you have officially now passed your previous record. I'm not sure
I'm
if you were even
peaking.
aware of that, or if you're peaking right now, Philip. How
Yeah,
does it feel to know that you now have made a deeper run and that there's a good chance that you can make an even further run?
I mean, honestly, I don't know if you could say I made a deep run last split, because right when I subbed in, the team was first place. So and they were pretty good. Or the team was already really good. So I don't know if I could say that I deserve to even be in PG last split. But this one, uh, yeah, I mean, I guess it feels pretty pretty nice that I already made it further than last time.
And you earned it this time. You played the entire split with the entire
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
It was awesome to see the journey there. I'd love to give you the podium, Philip. Give any shout outs, any call outs that you have for anybody out there watching.
Shout outs to my team, of course. They're all really, they're all really great. Shout out to the coaching staff. Shout out to my trusty roommate Johnson. Even though he flames me and comes into my room without permission, he still helps me, even though he's on the LCS team. And yeah.
Does he at least knock? Does he at least like check before he
No,
comes in?
he just comes in and starts sleeping on my bed, and I have to wipe
that's
it
just
after.
rude. That's just rude. All right, we'll have to have a chat with Johnson for you. But thank you so much, Philip, for having a chat with us. And congratulations on the victory. Best of luck preparing for your match against Dignitas.
Thank you.
And with that said, we're going to bid farewell to Philip and bring back on the casters to close out the show. What a blisteringly quick day it has been, everybody. 4 games as we bid farewell to Philip. 4 games is all that it took. 2 quick 2-0s. Cubby, Jolly, our predictions were correct for that second series, but Cubby, you were the only one that had the first series winner correct. So I'll give it to you first. Is this day going essentially how you expected?
I just still can't get over what Philip was like, chirping his roommate there at the end.
True.
Yeah, hopefully Philip can sort that out. No, it's always fun to hear, the team relationships, all like that fun of, living in the team house and figuring it out. And hey, props to Philip and FlyQuest Academy. I really feel like they figured it out moving into this tournament. And that 8th place Academy regular season finish, we can throw it out the window at this point. I mean, they've top 8. They're now guaranteed a top 8 in PG. And I think that, they're a team that I really think are going to be tough to take down as we continue to move forward in this tournament.
Dignitas have a tough opponent ahead of them. That's going to be a very exciting match to check out next week. Of course, that will be in the future. But let's take a look at that bracket, Jolly, as we kind of reminisce on the teams that have already played so far and how we got to this point. Of course, this is the upper bracket. A reminder, Immortals Academy, Golden Guardians, and then Team Liquid and Cloud9 will all be playing each other in future weeks. But as we look at the lower bracket, Jolly, this is where I want to bring our attention because we do have a few more teams competing this week. And I want to get your thoughts on potential favorites here.
Ooh, honestly, you got 100 Thieves Academy and 100 Next. If we're talking about amateur favorites, right? 100 Next was top of the leaderboards throughout all of amateur proving grounds. And I think 100 Thieves Academy is gonna have to sharpen and hone their skills going into that one. In the upper bracket, 100 Thieves Next was the kind of last stand for amateur, right? The last hope. They did end up falling, but they at least have been able to continue through in the bracket because they went up against Winthrop University. So the last amateur team going up against their own organization.
We've got 2 left. We got Immortals AOE going up against COG as well in the lower bracket. That's going to be our other matchup tomorrow, as we're going to have to.
Yeah, it looks like that bracket on the bottom is swapped there. So it should be Immortals AOE instead of TSM that won that one. But tomorrow, it will be the last 2 amateur teams left in Proving Grounds playing against pretty tough Academy counterparts. CLG are no slumps here at Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you hate to see a civil war in PG. Never like the team kills. But
did that happen last summer too?
C9,
with Evil Geniuses?
It was a C9 team kill.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, the EG Civil War was in spring and Giant Slayer, which is good times. Yeah. But no, I mean, you kind of hate to see the team kill, but that will be fun. We get to celebrate some of the success that 100 Thieves have had with their developmental programs tomorrow. I know it's going to be a big theme we're talking about. And then, I mean, I think that very much for Immortals AOE, kind of like EGP, the fact that they didn't bottom 4 this tournament, they did take that best of 3 win, I think exceeds expectations already for me. So at this point, it feels like they're just kind of playing with house money. And I want to see if, when the amateur teams kind of drop the pressure, drop the nerves, are able to throw down. We saw in the back half of that game too, the EGP, they have good mechanical players. They can win fights from behind. They can create winning scenarios. And I think we've seen that out of Immortals AOE. It was a really close best of 3 they played against TSM. Those games went late. They held their nerves. They held strong. They found good fights. And they're going to need even more of that. They want to take down the top seed that we had coming into this tournament in COG.
Exactly. And here's that schedule. You see 200 Thieves, Jolly. You were hinting at it. The Civil War between, again, 100 Thieves, an org that's known for promoting players from their next program into Academy. This is a big motivating game, big motivating series for these 100 Thieves next players, because they're playing against, I mean, as weird as it is, Civil War, they're direct competition. The players that are on the same org with them, scrimming together, learning with each other, and competing against each other.
And maybe we see like a weird scrim meta emerge.
Maybe a weird scrim meta. Honestly, this is the chance for 100 Thieves Next to say, hey, maybe we should be higher up, right? Maybe we should be on the Academy broadcast, on the Academy team here. But at the end of the day, no matter what, if you're a 100 Thieves fan, you're going to be seeing a 100 Thieves team moving on in the lower bracket, getting closer and closer to maybe getting to those lower finals to be able to compete against one of the top teams. And I think the other interesting thing is, at least with the upper bracket, we talked about the top two right now, teams that are still in the upper bracket that haven't fallen, like CLG. Cloud9 and TLA are going to have to face each other before actually getting into the finals. So only one of those teams is going to make it in, meaning another top seed team is going to be dropping down into the lower bracket.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And there's a lot of exciting matches. The bracket's been shaping out in exceptional fashion. I'm so happy from just a viewer standpoint that we get the Civil War. I'm sure 100 Thieves fans, so it's usually split, right? Like some are upset. It's like, we have to face each other, but at least we get one team guaranteed into the top 8. So that's the silver lining right there. But with that said, that wraps it up for the broadcast for today. Week 3, day 4 is in the books. And with that said, I want to give a special thank you to Jolly and Cubby, especially Jolly for subbing
Jolly.
in.
Yeah, thank you, Jolly.
Round of applause for coming in and filling in for the day. You did fantastic work. Cubby, you as well. Everybody in production for keeping the gears rolling. Thank you for putting on the show. Of course, everybody in Twitch chat for cheering on your favorite players and teams. Even if you're somebody who watches LCS and don't actually follow all of Academy and Amateur, we appreciate you sticking around and at least checking out the show. And a warm thank you to all the players for putting on that performance. We wouldn't have this show if it weren't for everybody with the drive to make it to the LCS. But with that said, that's it for the Thursday broadcast. We'll be back tomorrow for one final broadcast day of week 4 before we get ready for next week. We'll see you there.